All right, everybody, so you have the Hubsan Zino 2 Plus, and this may be the same case now for the Hubsan Zino 2. I'm not sure if they've made this correction or fixed this, but this is something I've been waiting for a long time, since, not a long time, but since they came out with the Zino 2. Forced updates. Nobody should ever force you to do an update. The big saying out there in the hobby is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, if you take some of Hubsan's firmware, you can take back steps and end up with bad camera quality and so forth. So we do have a new firmware update for this baby. And I do have this one working now, which I will probably do in another video to explain what happened there. She's perfectly good now. But let's enter the device and see if we get a firmware update, a prompt. Okay, so now we have firmware upgrade on the screen. You can see that. We now have this option to cancel. We didn't have that option before. So I can cancel this out, and I can stick with my firmware that I currently have and I'm not having any problems with, should that be the case. This is a beautiful thing. I am so excited about this. If you have been with Hubsan as long as I have, there is a long relationship there of just bad firmware. Often they get it right, just as often they mess it up. When you see fixed known bugs, you don't know what that is. They're not going to tell you what that is. But often they end up creating something that wasn't a problem before. We don't want to have that here. So my advice to you is, do not update your firmware. If you're flying perfectly fine, don't update it. If they offer some great new feature or something like that and you have to have it, that's different. But still, one thing I always say about firmware with Hubsan, and this can be the same for anything, let it get a little dust on it first. Keep flying with what you got. Let that new firmware update get a little dusty, and then look for things like a new update a couple days later. Go into Facebook groups, see what people are saying about it. Trusted sources that have updated to the firmware that can tell you, hey, this firmware's fine, or nope, they've reduced the bit rate in it, your camera quality is going to suck, things like that. So let's just say we're not going to update. So we're done, we're ready to fly, everything's fine. And then I decide I want to update. You can still always go to your firmware, your versions, and click check for updates. This is great because this never worked before. You could click on that and it would never ever tell you you needed to do an update. So currently, it shows my version. I'm on FC0018, gimbal 1010. My IT is 014. So I recommend you take a picture of that. Take a picture of your screenshot there, so you know what firmware you had before you ever do an update. And then we go to the controller, check for updates. I already know that doesn't have one, but there's your versions. If you want to, take a picture of them and just keep them before you do any firmware update. So now I can go and click check for updates. And there we go. We have an upgrade. So it still gives me the option. After I canceled it out, I can change my mind and I can go back and click this. Or after you shut this down, close your app and restart it, it'll give you that very first prompt like we had in the beginning of this video. So Hubsan, thank you. You finally are getting it together with things like this. I never want to be forced to do a firmware update, and I don't understand why any company that knows they have some issues with firmware would ever force a firmware update on anybody. So this is a beautiful thing. This is great. So please, Hubsan, do not force us to do the updates. Keep it like this. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love this. If you've been with me on my channel since the beginning of this forced update thing, I have been screaming for Hubsan to please stop doing this. I've asked everybody to email them, message them, and tell them, please stop doing this. So now we have the Zino 2, and we do not have to do forced updates anymore. It may be the same, I'm sorry, Zino 2 Plus. It may be the same for the Zino 2. I haven't flown mine in a while. I'll hook it up after this and check, and I'll just leave a message. I'll leave a comment maybe in the top pinned comment of my video to verify if I was forced or not to do an update on that. It should be up to date already, so I'll have to wait for a firmware update. But just wanted to pass that on. We do not have to do an update. Should you want to do it, click upgrade, and then you have the download firmware files. Well, I have a YouTube channel. I do reviews. I'm going to do a firmware update so I can tell you guys. So let's just see if this goes through nice and smooth. So please stick around, everybody, because this is another issue where things can go wrong with the Hubsan Zino 2 and the Hubsan Zino 2 Plus. Firmware updating has not been one of their strong suits. So many people have issues with the camera cables in them, camera/gimbal cable in them. Little simple things that cause this to just sit there forever at like 49%. Some may get all the way to 99%, and it's always when you get to the portion that says updating the IT, and it'll freeze and you're just not going to get connected. A lot of them stay disconnected here, and it takes forever for the update to complete. So we're going to see what happens. It's downloading at 97%, ready to upgrade. So now we're doing our upgrade, and we want to see this kind of go at a decent pace, and it is. This is where you want to see it go. It's moving right along. We're not constantly disconnecting up here. Got to make it past that golden 49%. There we go. We're at 50%. Shut down. Restart. That's just the fan, I think. I didn't hear it beep. So now we're hovering down in the 50s, not moving very fast. Okay, and see if it starts to creep up a little bit here after 60%. All good signs so far, guys. It's upgrading the FC. And our update is optimize the return to home and battery display. That battery display always kind of has been an issue. Their battery meter is not consistent with what we've got on the actual battery. They'll give you false warnings. So restart at 75%, that's good. And then we have the second change here is optimize image transmission software upgrade. That can kind of say anything. So these aren't huge updates. This isn't an update I would say you have to have. So if your quad is flying fine, I don't care who tells you, update that firmware. If Hubsan says update your firmware every time there's an update, don't do it. Don't do it. So we're at 99%. Let's see if we get to that 100. %, down here. There's different things you can look at here. You want to see your connected, your overall 99%. It's upgrading PW 97%. So we're just waiting for that to finish. And then sometimes a message will pop up and say, be patient. Now we're just sitting here. We're locked up. We're still at 97% and 99% there. Battery's halfway there. The quad battery is still full. So we're just gonna sit this out, and I'll fast forward once we complete. Okay, so now we have the aircraft is restarting. Please be patient. So something took a long time. I sat here for an additional, I don't know how long this has taken. I haven't completely timed it, but the portion that I edited out was long enough to where I thought this was going to fail. So it's saying it's restarting. We disconnected. We're restarting and connected. Update complete. Finally. So was it a real smooth update? No, it kind of had me worried. It did slow down and just sit there for too long. But the important thing is it went through. Now, if this did not go through, it would say update failed, and you would just leave the menu. And it would still allow you to, let's wait and make sure I have FPV here. Okay. It would still allow you to go and fly your quad if your update fails. And then when you restart your quad, it would then tell you again, you need to do the firmware update. So after you have a failed update, you can still fly, but one little warning for you. If you do that, when you go into, now this still says upgrade, but I might need to restart the app. But if you go into the firmware versions, which we can see they did update, we're on 2.2 now. And then I don't remember what the other ones were, but I'll have to look. But anyhow, what it will say is it will say right here, it won't say a version. Right here we have 1.1.4. If the update fails, it'll say upgrading. And I'm not sure that's safe to fly on. I would prefer to see a firmware version in here and all my versions in here. I'm just saying it will let you start the motors. That's up to you what you do from there. So we have a successful update. I want to restart my app and I want to see if it still says, come on. If it still says upgrade on the app. So let's start that app back up and then we'll be done with this video. I want to be as precise as possible here and show you guys. So we have a safety reminder. They are putting a lot of pop-ups. I hate these kind of things and I'm not sure if we can turn this off. It's good for newbies, but I don't like all these training wheels and everything. I like to just fire it up and go. I do all my system checks and my calibrations and stuff when needed. So system detects that I have use of a non-original charger. That's funny because I'm using their charger and their battery. So this is why I don't like it. This type of stuff is false. This system detects that you have used a non-original charger to charge the battery, which will have serious impact on the battery safety. Please do not continue to use the non-original charger to charge. Okay, I got it. Hubsan, you have no idea what charger I'm using. I'm sorry. These batteries aren't that smart. These quads aren't that smart to know what charger I used. All you're doing is giving that battery a power supply, and I used the stock charger that they gave me, so I don't know what that's all about. But let's go on and just see if that still says upgrade. And we're good to go. So here we are, we have our new versions, everything's clear there. Do your update, restart everything. And after every update, it does not hurt to go and do some calibrations. Do your horizontal, do an IMU calibration. You never know what gets changed around inside with these updates. Calibrations, if done right, are your best friend. Very easy to do, but also very easy to mess up. So make sure you look at the tutorial I have on how to do all the calibrations on this, including your stick calibrations on the controller, which you don't have to do very often at all. When you get out to fly somewhere after an update for the first time, go ahead and do a compass calibration. Do that properly as well. So that's it, everybody. I just wanted to do this little firmware update, show you the firmware update process, and give you my advice. Please do not update your quad until you have let that firmware get a little dust on it and know that it is going to serve you well. If not, stick with what you got. Enjoy it. Keep this baby flying and enjoy it for a long time to come. That's it. Thank you everybody for watching. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Subscribe if you're new to my channel. There will be lots of Zino 2 Plus and Zino Pro Plus content along with other quads. And as always, hit that bell for future content and notifications. Peace and love.